Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at DisneyPlus.com. It's time for a quick Disney Plus news roundup. We're going to be talking about a potential Elemental series for Disney Plus, the cancellation of The Great, and much more. But before we go any further, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news. Let's kick off talking about Elemental, because this has been an interesting film. It got released earlier this summer and it had a pretty bad opening weekend, one of the lowest of all time for a Pixar film. And generally it looked like it was dead on arrival and it was considered a flop, and there was lots of headlines and videos about how bad Disney was and how Pixar weren't going to do anything and all the rest of it. However, this was a little movie that had a little bit more legs than many people expected, as it's been able to pull in just under $500 million at the global box office. It's been a huge international success. It's actually currently, as of right now of the time of recording, the 10th biggest film of the year, and it has been generally pretty successful. It's actually taking more money at the box office than many other films, including Good Dinosaur, Brave, and even Cars. So it's done pretty well. It's certainly no longer considered a flop. It's one of the biggest films of the summer in terms of animation. And obviously Disney are going to be looking to make the most of this, because while it's been out on in cinemas, it's also now out on digital platforms, and I suspect it's going to be hitting Disney Plus probably in the next few weeks to a month's time, usually about 30 days after the digital release, so nothing officially announced as of yet. So as we all know, Disney loves to wring out as much cash as it possibly can from its franchises, and it looks like Elemental is about to become the next big thing, because according to a recent appearance on the podcast The Town, Exhibitor Relations Jeff Pock appeared on the podcast and said that Pixar is actually creating a series based on Elemental, and there might even be a sequel in development. Now at the minute, it's important to note that Disney hasn't officially announced anything, and with the strikes and stuff ongoing, wouldn't expect anything like this one. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was a series of shorts, or maybe a full series like we're going to be getting with Win or Lose. I do think with the story of Elemental, it's very open for them to do other stories, picking other characters. There's so much like scope with the kind of the idea of what they're doing, and not just focusing on Wade and Amber, but also you can got different things that you could do with them, you know, with their relationship and stuff. So I think it will work. But I think ultimately the Disney Plus release of this upcoming film is going to be very important, because if this is where it's going to be able to reach a much bigger audience, and we're really going to see how much more popular this show can get, or this film can get, because I feel that Elemental has all the elements in place that they could become big on Disney Plus. Lots of repeat viewings. Doesn't have any songs in it, which generally does mean that people watch it a little bit less. But I think it's about to have an even bigger boost, and then obviously they can take advantage of this with theme parks and, you know, merchandise, etc., which they try to do. But once it kind of hits Disney Plus and explodes, I think that will be a lot more easier for them to do. And yeah, I definitely could see them doing shorts, you know, a series of shorts, or even a full series. I don't know if they would necessarily go down there, but let's be honest, Disney likes to use those shorts as a way of extending the franchises, to kind of keep people going along, keep them fresh. And so I definitely feel like we could end up seeing something on them. It might be a while down the line, but also they've done a lot of money in terms of developing the look of the film and the characters and stuff. And obviously it's all built into the computer system, so it's going to be a lot easier for them to create shorts and other kind of continuations of this one. Whether or not we get a sequel film, I'm not entirely sure. I think a series or a series of shorts makes a lot more sense. But I'd love to know, would you like to see an Elemental series on Disney Plus? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments below. Earlier this year, Disney released a brand new restored version of Cinderella on Disney Plus. It's a new 4K version. It's been restored to make it look as beautiful as they possibly can. But earlier this year, they did release it on a special 4K Blu-ray disc as a special box set. And we're going to be getting a new version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So that's going to be coming out on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. It's going to be coming out on October the 10th. And it's going to come with a special steelbook with the 100th anniversary stuff on it, with some fantastic artwork. And I suspect we will see this version added to Disney Plus at a later date. They're going to want to kind of get people to buy obviously the Blu-ray version first. And again, it just shows kind of Disney's commitment to kind of going back and just kind of making sure some of their big films look as good as possible. And I think, especially for a digital age, that is fantastic. So yeah, so I think it's gonna look amazing. I'm definitely gonna check this one out when it drops again. I haven't seen Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in a long time, so I think it'll be a good time to go do it. But are you gonna check out the 4K restored version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments below. Moving on to some bad news. If you're a fan of the Hulu original The Great, it has been cancelled after 3 seasons. It won't be returning. Now, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't hugely surprised with this. The viewership on this one hasn't really kind of gone up anymore. And generally, especially with like a 3rd season, things start costing a lot more for them to create, and if it isn't having that buzz and that excitement around it, kind of makes sense for them to not be carrying on. The other key thing here with this one, and why I'm going to be bringing it up as why I think it also hasn't been picked up, is Disney is cutting back on the amount of general entertainment it's creating, and it's focusing more on its franchises and just having a more curated list. The trouble is with The Great is Disney don't make it. It's made by another company, and it's actually released as an original on a number of different platforms around the world. Here in the UK, it's on Lionsgate Plus. In Australia, it's on Stan. So therefore, Disney, if they renew it, you know, they got the cost of creating it and all the rest of it and paying for it, but they don't really get the full benefits of this series globally. So they might as well put that money into a show that they can, you know, make full use of and, you know, get other benefits from. You know, they can sell it onto other platforms and stuff. And ultimately, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, really, for Hulu to continue to spend money on this show. Now, this was a show that was kind of picked up before Disney had full control over Hulu, because it's been a while since the 1st season dropped. So again, it's kind of a legacy thing with regards to before Disney took it over. So I'm not surprised it's kind of coming to an end. And I think after 3 seasons, generally, I think, you know, this show seems to have come to a natural conclusion. But let me know, do you think it's right for Disney not to continue on with The Great? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that in the comments below. In our comment of the day from Caroline, who went on to ask, will we have a Disney Plus Day this year? So this one comes up quite a lot, because obviously over the last few years we've seen a lot from Disney Plus Day. The first one was a big one with lots of announcements, lots of special offers, loads of films and shows being dropped, which obviously a lot of people liked, you know, the special things at the theme parks. Last year they moved it to September, and they had it just before the D23 Expo. Luckily enough, I was out in California for the D23 Expo, so I was able to go, met up with James, and we had a day at Disneyland where we had hats that you can see behind me here on top of Mandalorian here, and it was fun. You know, it's a good fun day. But last year, again, they put some new films and stuff onto Disney Plus, but fundamentally, it was about just trying to get more people to sign up. With regards to this year, we don't know if they're going to carry on with it. Now, there's a few things that I want to bring up why I am not 100% convinced that it actually might happen, or if it does, it might be a little bit different this year. First off, this is a Bob Chapek creation. This is something he came up with. And Bob Iger seems to be doing the best things he can to get rid of everything that he created, and so Disney Plus Day might not be in his thing of what he wants to do. A lot of people bring up the idea of November. Well, the November release date for the US only makes sense for like 4 countries in the world. The date doesn't make anything for most countries, so therefore that date doesn't really mean anything, and they'd already moved it once, so I wouldn't necessarily click on with a single date. So there's some issues right now. We got the actors' strike, so they can't really, unless they've already done so, they can't film any new advertisements or anything to promote anything, so that makes it pretty difficult. They might not be able to film anything that they want to specifically make for it, you know, any documentaries. Hopefully they got some stuff in the can, but who knows. But also, it does mean, do they really want to drop a whole host of films and shows and originals all on the same day to try and encourage sign-ups, when they're trying to stretch out that content as much as they can? So that's an issue from a practical point of view, and a couple of different issues. Now, if they were to do something, I wouldn't be at all surprised if they did this on the day when they were to add the Hulu content into Disney Plus in the United States, which is going to be happening later this year. If you were going to do a Disney Plus Day, that would be the day I would naturally want to pick, because it's something you're celebrating. But internationally, that means nothing, because, well, I've already got all that content, so I don't need it in there. So internationally wouldn't be much of a thing. Yeah, and I definitely feel like if it was in September, we're coming up to September very, very soon. It's only literally tomorrow, so therefore it's just too late and I also feel we're getting in a situation where they can't do any announcements because of the strikes and all the rest of it. That makes things a little bit more tricky. They're definitely trying to cut back on costs. Yeah, overall, it's just like the only reason I would think they would do it right now is to try and encourage people to sign up to the Hulu thing. And it feels in some way that would need its own separate advertising campaign, because like we saw with the launch of Star, where they're going to really need to have to push the idea of the Hulu and Disney Plus coming together and getting the idea out that this stuff is coming in, and get especially US audiences prepared for things like The Bear and, you know, shows like that coming into Disney Plus and being available is going to be a key thing when the bundle comes together. So Yeah, that's my only guess, but I'm not necessarily, if it never came back, I wouldn't be at all surprised, but I think it's a good idea for them to do. I think it's great with having the theme parks. They might also want to get the Disney 100 out the way first. That might be another thing they want to do and hold it back for a little bit later. But yeah, why not make the theme parks nice and blue, make the cruise line do something on there, and you can do something, with a special offer to get, the ad-free, or I would say the ad version is probably what they're going to want to do, because that's launching internationally in November. So there is options that they could do. And if they were going to do a promotion, it's going to be on that ad supported tier, not on the ad-free one. They don't want you on that. They want you on the ad one. So there's a very good possibility. But I'd love to know what you think. Do you think there's going to be a Disney Plus Day this year? And when do you think it's going to be? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Go check us out over at whatsonatdisneyplus.com. Like, follow, and subscribe. And I shall see you guys soon. Later.